Rubin game, and they do know me as Jason Rubin in France because Sony Europe's a little more enlightened. That sells units. Selling units makes money. Making money means I can pay them more. And the bottom line is 5,000 people work on a Spielberg movie. Spielberg is not wholly responsible. He's got great cinematographers, great musicians, but when Spielberg does better and they work with him next time, it helps them. So we're inefficient in the way that we're spreading out talent from lack of talent. And it also gives publishers a false sense of security at the negotiating table. Sure, they have the fear because they never know what they're getting, but we also can't prove what we've done. It's very, very difficult for us to prove our value because they're suppressing us from getting our value out there. It's really making this an inefficient system. And it's not only our industry, it's outside our industry as well. Gamers are getting ripped off by inexplicable broken brand promises. If you don't tell them that Crash Bandicoot was done and created by Naughty Dog, and you don't put that out there, when the brand changes, they're caught blindsided. Maybe the game gets better. Maybe the game gets worse. Aliens 2 might have been better. But the fact that you knew who the director was made it, you understood. When Steven Spielberg doesn't direct Jurassic Park 3, you understand that that's going to change things. So you're not, if you go and you see it and it sucks and the other two were good, just an example, I don't know if that's the case, you understand it. You say, it's not a broken brand promise. I knew this going in because they told me that the person isn't working on it. So it's really not fair to our audience, which makes them gun shy, because things go, like all of a sudden, the great product, all of a sudden goes in the dumpster because some guy left the team. And we're wasting a very, very valuable resource. They're out there and they're looking for us to get in front of the camera. We're interesting to them right now. We are very interesting to them right now. MTV called me and they wanted to do a show on a day in my life. And I said, that'd be the most boring show you did. I said, why would you want to do that? And they said, we did a survey, and of our viewers, the #1 job they wanted to have was a game developer. People want to know. That's MTV, not Rockstar, game developer. People want to know about us, but since we don't get ourselves out there, since we don't have publicists, since getting a publicist is seen as a counter to the marketing of the product, we're wasting that valuable resource. And the lack of respect we get within our industry translates to our respect in the future. It is bizarre to me when a friend of mine who gets invited to a Sony Computer Entertainment party, who works in Hollywood as a director, calls me up and says, yeah, I'll see you there. And I go, no, you won't. He goes, this guy must not really have that much value. And that's hurting me in the future, guys, because I'm working with Hollywood in the future. And Hollywood matters. They are coming. They are talented. They are very, very talented and very, very useful to us in reaching a broader audience. And the place our 100 top guys fit in vis-a-vis their guys is going to determine how everybody does in the future. If all of the directors get their name on the box and they come in and they say any developer is even, you obviously believe that in your industry, nobody's talking about your developers, we'll take any one of them, their slice of the pie is going to be bigger. And that means the programmers get less, the artists get less, the girl at the front desk or the guy that's getting coffee gets less. We have to make sure we mesh and not fall in under. And the way we're being put forth right now, throwing parties for them and not inviting our own people, makes us look like beneath them. And that's not a good attitude, it's not correct, it's very dangerous. So does it really matter? I mean, does it really matter if we got our name on the box? Well, Kojima did. Kojima was also Newsweek's trendsetter opinion maker and People to Watch 2002. And if you really don't think that there's a connection there, you're missing the point. Kojima is branded. They go out and they push Kojima as the talent. Of course he didn't program everything. Of course he didn't do all the art. But that helps Kojima. He's not a better game designer than a lot of people in this room. But Kojima's name is out there, and that gives him that visibility. And Newsweek picked up on it. And Miyamoto has the same situation. They push him, and people listen. Miyamoto's being outsold by a lot of American developers right now. A lot of them. But people still look to Miyamoto because he's the only name they got. They know the industry's big, but he's the only one offered up to them. And isn't it interesting that it's the Japanese companies that didn't grow up reading Us magazine, didn't have crushes on George Clooney, or didn't want to play in the NFL, that are putting these people forward? Their games aren't better, guys. They just got a better attitude over there. Talent has to force the change. This is very, very important. The simple truth is that publishers, and when I say publisher, I really mean the non-product development groups. And even, really I'm talking about people who work on product versus people that don't work on product. The people that don't work on product have no reason to change the system because it is currently to their advantage. The longer that publishers can say, it's our brand that matters and not your talent, the less they have to pay for us. It may be true, it may not be true, but the longer we sit there and let them say that, the longer we get paid less. And the pie does get sliced. So we have to force the change. And since I said, if the plane goes down, we're gone, there's no gains, we do have the end power. What is our place? Well, we are not in front of the camera. Believe me, the easiest thing to say is this guy wants to be Tara Reid. I don't. I don't want to be a woman, and I don't want to be in front of the camera. Okay, those two things need to be made clear. We're not celebrities. We're never going to be. When we walk that line with the PS2 logo behind us, we won't get our picture taken for a long time, and that's understood. We're not going to influence anybody on packaged goods products, so we're not going to get invited to Smirnoff parties. We're weird, we dress funny, we aren't good in interviews. You guys know this, we're geeks. So are these guys. Okay. Okay, I tricked you. The guy in the bottom corner is not actually a director. He's a developer, but good God, he could be a director. Look at it. He's only a painting. You know these guys' names, and the reason you know these guys' names is because they have their own publicists, and because their industry understands that they're valued, and because they have gotten themselves out there. And if you don't think that getting yourself out there gets you more of everything, then you got your head in the sand. A lot of developers I talked to in the last year about this topic say, yeah, I don't really like parties. But that's not the point. An invite doesn't cost you anything. And they say, well, you know, our name's on the box, but I really don't want to split my team up because I might lose guys. Well, yeah, you might. And if you do, that probably meant that you didn't do well enough to keep them. I'll put every one of my employees, I'll tell you what every one of them does, try to get them, they're happy. That's the bottom line. We've got to accept the fact that this is going to be a riskier industry in the future, and we've got to accept the fact that we are going to need to take more of the Hollywood model. We are not an industry on an island. We like to think that, but we're not. Hollywood studios used to manage those guys in the same way that we're being managed by publishers. 7 of them formed the United Seven, which became United Artists. Hollywood studios don't treat them like that today. And it took talent to change that paradigm. It didn't take the publishers realizing that we do better. And you know what? The movies got better because they started collaborating with each other, studio to studio, like they never could before. And in the end, I've heard, I've read, studios ended up doing better. It's a new way of thinking. Back when I first started working with EA in 1987, maybe 88, we found out about the affiliate label program, and we got a hold of it because it made complete sense to me. I make product. I was making bad product at that time, but I made product nonetheless. You guys don't even know these games, they were so bad. But the way I looked at it, I was an artist, and I was making product. And I was hiring EA to put that product on the shelf. So I wanted to know what each piece of what I was doing cost. Because if I could break it out, maybe there were things I could do that I didn't have to pay them to do. Think of this attitude, right? I'm a 17-year-old kid at that point, and I'm thinking that I'm paying EA to put it on the shelf. And I looked at it, and it didn't make sense, because it was 2 people in the company, and we couldn't do that much. So in the end, we ended up becoming a developer for them. But that attitude stuck with me throughout my entire career. And that's why, even though my relationship with Sony Computer Entertainment Product Development has been as good as any relationship could ever be with any publisher and developer, I still put $1.5 million of my own dollars into Crash Team Racing and $4 million of my own dollars into Jak and Daxter. They would have given me the money. They knew the game was going to be good. But I looked at cost of capital. And $4 million into Jak and Daxter, we had something running. And when you have something running, the risk to the publisher is a lot less. And they looked at the product, and they could make a decision whether they liked it or not. I believed in myself. I believed in my team. And we put together a good product. And we did better because we didn't have to borrow money to make our game at the same high rate. See, it's a different way of thinking, isn't it? We're making the games. They're selling them. And if their PR department, which I then hire, and this is my attitude, doesn't want to push me, then I'm not getting my money's worth. And I don't like that, and I'm not going to put up with that. It's a totally different way of thinking, isn't it? But that's Hollywood's way of thinking. We're the talent. We're the limited factor. More money's going to come into this industry from Hollywood. More money's going to come in from elsewhere. We're now a big enough industry it's worth investing in us. The economy of scale is there. I've gotten offers this year to make my next games, if I choose to leave Sony, with people that will fund me outside of the publishing industry. And the cost of capital will be less. We will have opportunities. We have to look at this in the future as this is a talent industry. and publishers have a valuable